Hello everybody and welcome back. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is Anastasia and I'm the artist behind Anastasia K-Tart on Instagram, as well as a brand ambassador for the amazing Craft Resin family. So today I'll be taking you through the steps on how to make a preserved floral resin hexagon shape. But not only that, I have received something very exciting in the post from Craft Resin and I can't wait to show you guys. So this is what I've received in the post from Craft Resin. It is their new product, the Deep Pour resin, and I am so excited to use this product and get a real good feel for it as well, just to see what it's like in comparison to their other product, which is the 1:1 ratio resin, and just see how this differs really. So come join me in making this hex piece and let's see how the Deep Pour works. First up, we'll be using the Craft Resin's 1:1 ratio resin to pour the first layer. This will be equal parts of the resin, so equal parts of A and equal parts of B. I've already poured my first layer with a spot of black pigment. This is just because I don't want any of my flower stems showing behind. If you do choose to do this, just make sure that the resin has fully cured, which is 24 hours if you're using Craft Resin's 1:1 ratio. Now it's time to add your colour. Here I'm using a black pigment paste and I'm going to mix this extremely well just to make sure the colour has been mixed thoroughly. Once you're happy the colour has been mixed into the resin, it's then time to pour into your mould. Next, I'm just using my blowtorch to pop any air bubbles that have risen to the surface, and if you do spot any hairs or dust that has floated in there, make sure you get rid of them using a cocktail stick or a stirrer. Next up, it's time to add the flowers. Here I will be using a combination of purple gypsophilia, some pink roses and some thistles. Make sure that your flowers are 100% dry before placing them in the piece. Here I have air dried my flowers, you can also use silica to dry yours. I've just added in some green leaves here as well. Again, make sure these have been 100% dried before placing them in the resin. Now I'm adding the gypsophilia. I'm just going to place them along the back and then layer up just to build a bit of depth to the piece. Once I'm happy with this, I'm then going to add the roses. And last but not least, I'm now adding in the thistles. I've added these in at the bottom as a finishing touch. The wonderful thing about this resin is that you do have plenty of working time, so you can move things around if you do need to. Once you are happy with the overall arrangement, it's then time to leave this to cure. Craft Resin recommends 24 hours curing time with the 1:1 ratio resin, so I'm going to listen to that advice and see you in 24 hours. Now for the moment that we've all been waiting for, it's time to use the Deep Pour resin. This does have a different measurement in comparison to the 1:1 ratio, so with the Deep Pour resin we'll be using a 2 parts A and 1 part B. Remember to mix this resin extremely well just to avoid any streaks, and try not to go too fast because this will generate more air bubbles. Remember, you are wanting a smooth, clear, honey consistency. Now it's time to add the Deep Pour resin. Here I'm going to submerge all of my flowers under this layer. As you will see, there are quite a few air bubbles with this, but please don't be alarmed, I'm coming to that bit next. As we are using flowers within this piece, naturally there's going to be quite a few air bubbles there just because air sockets form within the petals, so we're just going to gently poke these out and bring them to the surface. As there are quite a lot of those pesky air bubbles, I am just going to go in with my blowtorch. Again, if you don't have a blowtorch, you can use a heat gun to eliminate these. If you do spot any dust that has fallen into your piece, just get a little cocktail stick or a clean stirrer and remove those. Remember to look on the box for the curing time. With this it is 72 hours, so I will see you then. Now it's time to demold your piece. You can use a little bit of water to free the piece from the silicone mould. Sadly, I put my blowtorch too close to the edge of the silicone and it actually melted the silicone in this piece. As you can see, there's a little blob of silicone poking out, but that's okay. Challenges come up for a reason. It's how we look at those challenges and how we go about changing them in order to make sure that we don't do this again. So I decided to sand down the entire thing. Now it's time for the top layer. I'll be using the standard resin, which will be the 1:1 ratio, just for that super glossy finish. Don't be alarmed if your piece is still frosty from the sanding. This does go, as you can see here, is crystal clear and good as new. Now you can just do a top layer to the piece, or you can do a flood coat if you have sanded the entire thing like I've done here. And as I've done before, we're just going to go in with a blowtorch just to get rid of those pesky air bubbles. My flood coat did not go to plan. I'm definitely being challenged with this piece. So as the sides have come out so speckled, I am going to sand it down yet again. Once you've sanded down all the sides and you've got a few little scratches here and there and you can see through the piece again, it's then time to buffer it. Once you've buffered, you'll be pleasantly surprised that it can bring it back to normal. And for those of you who are interested in seeing the final piece, here it is.